Welcome to Damballah Sports. The Giants need to lose out. Here's why. The Giants need to draft Shador Sanders. The Giants need to lose out the rest of the season so we get the number one pick so we can draft Shador Sanders without any doubt, any having to trade up in front of somebody and just secure the number one pick. The reason why we need to draft Shador Sanders and not Cam Ward, although I don't have anything against Cam Ward, great athlete, great quarterback. Um, I've been following Shador for the past 5 years. I've been tracking Shador Sanders' journey. Actually, I think I got to watch. No, I caught on his senior year, but I backtracked and watched all the film from his junior and sophomore year. Um, I wasn't able to find the freshman, but Shador Sanders has been a starting quarterback since he was a freshman. So that's 4 years in high school, 4 years in college. It's 8 years of being a starting quarterback. Not only is that experience important, but also the fact that he's been a part of two different rebuilds: Jackson State, Colorado. The Jackson State, the JSU record before Shador and Prime got there, the season that they got there, I believe they won 4 or 5 games. The second season that they were at Jackson State, they won a SWAC championship. After that, the Prime crew goes to Colorado. Colorado, before the Prime crew got there, was a 1-11 team. Their first year, 4-8. This past year, they only lost 3 games, and they're in a bowl game. It's not just that he was a part of two different rebuilds. He was a part of the success of two different rebuilds, which is very important because the Giants are in a rebuild. Now, many will look at the Giants and say, "Oh, you got a lot of holes to fill." That's true. And oftentimes, teams make the mistake of drafting a quarterback and playing him early while in the process of a rebuild without giving that quarterback the proper time to develop. Most of the time, the team is bad all around anyway. So any development that that quarterback needs gets pushed aside by the team needs. This is something that we don't have to worry about with Shador. Not just because he is the son of a Hall of Fame football player, but because he's been coached by that Hall of Fame football player all his life. Not just on the field, but coached in life by our favorite athlete. Period. Dion, our favorite athlete. Stop lying. You know it. Only reason why you say he not is probably because you're hating. But Shador has had the opportunity to not only be the quarterback of two different rebuilds, of two different successful rebuilds, but also he's had the ability to have close access with the head coach of both rebuilds. The reason why that's so important is because information is good, but knowledge and wisdom are better. What I mean is information is like, okay, you got the information, but how do you input that information? How do you make that information that you have up here a reality on the field that you're standing on. You can only do that with experience. And being that his father was the head coach of both of the rebuilds that he was a part of, that allows you greater access than a regular athlete would do. You get to really know what that coach is thinking because he's your dad. Y'all have conversations at a different level than a normal quarterback and coach relationship. This is great because Shador coming to the NFL, he's learned what most quarterbacks, most rookies have to learn as far as the mentality, the inner workings of building the team. But moreover, his play. Shador is a pro style quarterback. He's an athlete. He can run if he wants to, but he's a throwing quarterback. He looks to throw. When he runs to throw first. And then if ain't nothing open, then he'll run and get the yards that he can. That's important to us because it's been said that that's not us, even though we've proven that to be contrary, that yes, we can do this. We can sling this ball. His pro style play will translate perfectly to the NFL, to the pro level. His offensive coordinator this past season, Pat Shermer, former head coach, former offensive coordinator for the Vikings, he's done his time as a coach, understanding what works well and this, that, and third at a pro level. So the information from a pro offensive coordinator that most rookie quarterbacks would have to learn, Shador already knows. I'm not saying he knows exactly what the offensive coordinator is going to be wanting to do or say when he gets to his team. What I'm saying is offenses learning an offense is like learning a new language. It seriously truly is. And for quarterbacks, it's they have to remember a lot. They have to take in a lot. They have to, depending upon your system, the quarterback might be making the checks, the line might be making the checks. It sometimes it changes depending on the offensive coordinator. But moreover, in transitioning from college to the NFL, there is a large learning jump because colleges tend to make things easier for their players, for their success, for the success of the team. That doesn't necessarily translate to that athlete's forward success. Um, so that's why you see a lot of these great, phenomenal college athletes struggle in their rookie year. Shador very well can have a rookie year similar to the success of Jaden Daniels and possibly CJ Stroud. Now, I'm not saying he's going to make the same team record that CJ Stroud had or the same winning record that Jaden Daniels has. But what I am saying is because he already understands a pro style offense, pro concepts, those are things that he's not going to have to spend extra time learning. And that will allow him to hit the ground running. What the fuck? Okay, please tell me we're still in the same shot. I'll edit it later. And because he's already had that pro style offense in college from from an actual pro offensive coordinator, he will have better success in that learning process that many rookies have to take a lot more time in. Physically, his play style. Let's not forget that Shador has been mentored by Tom Brady since about, I believe, high school. So not only was he mentored by Tom Brady, but he's had the ability to gain information from Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Um, those are just two individuals that I know for a fact he has had at least conversations with. I've seen him in the same room with, on the same field with. So when it comes to dealing with rookie troubles, he's got to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Tom, what would you do in XY situation? Hey, Peyton, what would you do when a defense looked X, Y, and Z?" That's an ability that many don't have. That's just the truth of it. Team building. As the Giants draft Shador, they're going to continually need to draft competent talent around him. We have a number one wide receiver. Actually, our receiving core is really, really good. Malik Neighbors, Wandale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt can be a serious, serious threat. And another reason why Shador needs to come to New York, because the receivers that we have at New York, you can see similarities in the receivers that he had at Colorado. So if I'm doing comparisons, Malik Neighbors would be Travis Hunter. Wandale Robinson would be LeJontay Wester. Jalen Hyatt would be Jimmy Horn. I keep hearing shit go off on the phone, and I'm thinking to stop the recording, so I'll be worried and shit. Now, I'm not saying that Travis Horn and Wester are going to beat. I'm just making the comparison as to on-field play and skill set. You have certain skill set and receivers in order for you to do certain things, in order for you to layer the play certain ways, so that you can plan out the game and understand, okay, we want to do this in the first quarter, this in the second, this in the third, this in the fourth. We're gonna feed we're gonna feed our number one receiver in the first quarter. So that way our defense knows or feels they have to key in on him. Once they start keying in on a number one receiver, we're gonna feed our third receiver. So that way in the second quarter, while they're doubling the number one receiver and they have their second best guy on the number two receiver, we're going to target our third receiver who has their third best corner. These are things that offensive coordinators think about all the time. And so when it comes to quarterback play style, if you had a certain skill set at your receivers in college when you were a quarterback, and then you make it to the NFL and you don't have those same type of receivers, well, now you have to relearn how to throw to these guys that operate a little differently. Like a Odell Beckham and Mike Evans, Jesus. Odell Beckham and Mike Evans. They're two different body types of receivers. Drafted in the same year up until Odell dealt with injuries, but they both had great success. Now Odell got the shine because he was in New York. We're gonna get touch back on that later. But Mike Evans has had the wonderful ability of sustained success even through all the many different quarterbacks he's had to contend with. But again, if you were used to playing with an Odell Beckham in college, but now you get to the league and you have a Mike Evans, they are different receivers. They're different type of receivers. They play the game differently. So it's going to require you to take more time to learning that receiver, learning how that receiver runs his route, how he catches, what he does best. Is he a jump ball guy? Is he a route guy? Shador Sanders going to the Giants eliminates that questioning. Got it? Because again, Travis Hunter, Malik Neighbors, LaJohntay Wester, Wandell Robinson, Jimmy Horn, Jalen Hyatt. And then you want to think, well, running back situation, what the running backs like? Well, frankly, the Colorado Buffaloes run game wasn't their strength, although they did get a lot better. They got a lot better this year. And the Giants run game right now is not our strength. The minute we let go of Saquon Barkley, that was the minute the run game was no longer our strength. Side note, I pray to God the Eagles don't sit him and they let him break the NFL rushing record. Saquon will be my favorite running back forever. Period. I don't care. Once a Giant, always a Giant. Um, so him not having a run game to lean on is something that he already understands. Um, why New York over Vegas? Everybody's made huge to do about Shador's postings during the season. Every time the Raiders lose, he'd post a thank God. This was reported on the Pat McAfee show early in the season, like midway through the season. But you have to remember that Shador has been coached by his father, not just in on the field productivity, but off the field productivity in media. Like he's had media training. That was something that Dion, that Coach Prime, uh, brought to the Jackson State team, and I'm assuming he probably has done the same for Colorado. But have media training for these athletes so that when they have to deal with interviews or media saying something about them, they know what to do, how to act, and what to say. I say that to say great poker players know how to make you think they're doing one thing when they're doing another. Great chess players know how to hide what they're actually planning to do and make you think you're doing something else. The reason why New York over Vegas, it's New York. It's the largest media capital in the country, in the world. Vegas is cool. Vegas is fun. Yeah, Shador spent a lot of his off time in Vegas. Why not? It, I'm from New York, born and raised in New York. If you ask me, where would I rather want to go to spend some off time, New York or Vegas? Bro, I'm going to Vegas for the off time. But whenever you're talking about a business, You want the best opportunity with the most reach. Again, back to Odell Beckham and Mike Evans, drafted in the same year. Odell, dealt with injuries in his career. Mike Evans, I don't know his injury history, so I don't know how many injuries he's had to deal with. But Odell Beckham is a name that everyone knows. Mike Evans is a name that football fans know. Mike Evans is going to go into the Hall of Fame. Like his numbers are so fucking consistent that I have no doubts about that. But when it comes to being a star, when it comes to being a personality, New York is the best place to do that. Look at Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan is now the host of I, I think he got like two or three different shows he might host. But bro went to space. Name me another ex pro football player that went to space. Not because he had the money and built the shit. No. Got paid to go to space because he was working with Good Morning America or Strahan and Kelly. Bro has had so many shows I've lost count. But it's because of where he was. Plenty of different teams have stars that after their career is over are able to have businesses in their state or their city where they played. But being a star in New York is different. You get a little bit of football royalty up in you, and you have that access. Like the city never sleeps isn't just the saying. Like everywhere we've moved to, and even though I moved out of New York when I was young. That's something that don't leave you. So this stuff closing at 10 o'clock and everything being closed at 10, 9 o'clock is weird to me, bro. But again, New York over Vegas is a business decision. Vegas is fun. Vegas is sexy. You can do good business in Vegas, really great business. As the quarterback of the Vegas Raiders, he could have great success, have great business, and I think he'd be the first good quarterback they'd had since Kenny Stabler, Jake the Snake, somebody. It's been a while. It's been a long while. But Shador Sanders coming to New York would be the first good quarterback since Eli Manning. He'd be football royalty following football royalty. Coach Prime saying, I'm an Eli that thing. Many people have taken Coach Prime's words out of context because they don't truly understand the man. What I mean by that is Coach Prime wasn't lying when he said he was going to make sure that his boys would go to great organizations that if, you know, the wrong organization ended up at the top of the draft, then he'd, Eli that thing or Archie that thing. And there's been many reports about many false reports saying, "Oh, Prime's not going to let Shador go to a cold weather team." What? That literally makes no sense, being that they've been in Colorado for 2 years. What? Wipe that off the board. Um, and I know that right now the video of Coach Prime talking to Coach Pierce, another once a giant, always a giant, uh, talking about the Raiders coming to get Shador and Shiloh. That's circulating right now, but it's being reported as recent. That is not recent. That was last offseason. Okay. He, he would not mind Antonio Pierce drafting both Shador and Shiloh. He wouldn't mind both his boys going to the same team. That'd be great. But again, Deion Sanders is a businessman. And the one thing that the entire time has continued to live rent free in my mind is Deion singing "I Believe in Eli." The respect factor amongst that NFL hierarchy, those NFL families, I believe is something that's important. But also knowing what type of organization he wants his boys to go to, all his boys, Shador, Travis, Shiloh, LeJohntay, Jimmy, everybody. He cares about all his players and wants to make sure that they all go to good organizations. He said he's gonna Eli that thing for his sons. Um, the Giants are a family-run business. The Raiders are too, but Dion also understands story. You got to remember that all the quotes that we love about Dion, uh, look good, feel good, play good, they pay good. None of that was stuff he that off the top of the dome. He sat down and he wrote down all of those quotes. He created Prime. Deion Sanders created prime time. He understood that you needed a character, you needed a story to keep people interested, to keep people engaged. What better story could you have than having of a former, the son of a Hall of Fame player come to New York and save the organization and be the first good quarterback they've had since the son of a Hall of Fame NFL player? Think about it. Not only that, to be the savior of New York, because that's what Shador Sanders, savior of New York. That's going to be a title because when the Giants draft him and when he has a great career and when we look back on it, that's going to be the story. It's going to be the Giants were great. They had Hall of Fame quarterback Eli Manning. Then they had these doldrums. And then came the savior, Shador Sanders. It just rolls off the tongue. That's a story that you can write books with, movies with, all type of commercials and all type of business. It's a good business decision. On top of the fact that even though we are playing terribly, we have a lot of the players that we need. We have holes. We need a middle linebacker. We need a safety. We need some linemen and a tight end. Those are what I believe are our greatest needs outside of quarterback, and that's without having looked at any paperwork in like 2 3 weeks or watching the games. I've been busy. Um, being that, oh, another reason why I think that the Giants will draft Shador Sanders. I've seen them at Colorado's practice. I've seen Joe Shane, our general manager, and Brandon, I can't remember his last name, our assistant general manager, at the Colorado Buffaloes practice. Like you don't get reports of that. You got to be following well off media to know that. But there had already been reports about our GM being at Colorado games, but they were at practice. So I'm hoping that Shador is not the only one that they draft. I'd like for us to take Jimmy as well in like the third, fourth round. But there is something to be said about having seen an organization take care of a Hall of Famer's child beforehand. You've seen the Giants do that. They took care of Eli. Even on the back end of his career, where Eli wasn't really good them last few years. I'm being honest. I love Eli to death. He got his 2 rings, baby. But every athlete has a downslope. It's just reality. But even in his downslope, the organization never disrespect them. They kept him of the highest regard, so much to the fact that they fired Ben McAdoo for even suggesting drafting Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that wasn't the whole thing, but again, that's something that we'll get to at a later video. But as a parent, when you are sending your children off somewhere, you want to ensure that the people who you're sending your child to, you can trust them to take care of your child. It's helpful to know that the people you're sending your child to have done this task before. Like if you call a babysitter to babysit your kids and you got two options, you got Sarah, who's babysitted for 5 of the families in your neighborhood, and you got Becky, who is looking for her first babysitting gig. You're going to put more trust in Sarah because you've seen her be successful at taking care of children before, and you can talk to the parents and see, okay, how was she with this? How was she with that? How was she at bedtime? Oh, you have that trust. It's not to say that Becky can't do it, but Sarah can. I don't know if the Raiders have ever had the son of a former Hall of Fame NFL player play quarterback for them. I know the Giants have. Let's not forget the fact that the Giants didn't draft Eli. We didn't have the number 1 pick that year. The Giants drafted Phillip Rivers strictly in order to be able to trade Phillip Rivers for Eli Manning. They did that because Archie didn't want Eli playing in the AFC. It's a good move. Because of what Archie did, Eli's career wasn't overshadowed by Peyton's career as much as it would have been if they were in the same conference in the AFC. Because Eli and Peyton were in different conferences, they played, I think, maybe 4 times their entire careers. The Manning Bowls, 4 of them. They each played over 10 years. If Eli had not been in the NFC and he had been in the AFC, he would have been constantly facing his brother and more than likely would have been constantly losing. Just just off assumptions and team structure and shit. But because the father, Archie Manning, wanted to protect his son, the Giants did that for him. Now I'm gonna go back. Let's go back to Deion's quote about I'm gonna Eli that thing. It's strictly about protecting his son because Deion knows that when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, you got to be in the right situation in the right place in order to have some success. And needing to, in order to protect him, you have to have some control over where they go. In order to have that type of control, you have to have those type of connections with the teams. Deion has that. And in order to have all of this happen, you have to have a team that is willing to step out there and help you protect your son. The Giants have done that before. Head coach. When it comes to rookie quarterbacks, it is really helpful when they have an offensive head coach or they have an offensive coordinator that was hired specifically for them. Uh, Examples of the latter would be Jaden Daniels. While the Washington Commanders have a defensive minded head coach, the offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, was hired, specifically for Jaden. They knew who they were getting when they hired Cliff Kingsbury. And so as soon as Cliff Kingsbury got hired, he was able to orchestrate an offense that centered around Jaden Daniels' skill set. Offensive minded head coach. Let's look at Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes' head coach is an offensive mind that is willing to take some risks and try things, Patrick has been able to have that success and the freedom to allow his skills to flourish. So if you don't have an offensive minded head coach, then you need to have a very, very good offensive coordinator in place. I don't know who the Raiders OC is. I do know that their head coach, Antonio Pierce, is a defensive minded head coach because he a linebacker. He a middle linebacker. I do know the Giants head coach is a former offensive coordinator. I do know that the Giants head coach was able to make Daniel Jones look so good that he was able to get a $60 million contract. So I have no doubts about Coach Dayball's coaching ability. I will speak to our current record. It's the fact that we need to lose out. Now, this is a sentiment that only fans and GMs are allowed to have. Tanking. You'll never hear a player talk about tanking. because they're on the field trying to maintain their paycheck. Like, don't get it twisted. Just because you saw that Billy Bob signed a 4-year, $80 million deal, that don't mean nothing. How much of it was guaranteed, and then how much of it was guaranteed at signing? Guaranteed at signing means, oh, I got this money now. I got that money. You gave me a contract for all of this. You gave me a contract for all of this. But when I sign, I get this one. Couple weeks in, I have this one. Couple weeks in, I have the contracts are broken down to be spread out throughout the years. That's why there's always this back and forth about contract disputes with years and time. So every player is always trying to maintain their job and their paycheck. Because if you don't play well, they're not going to pay well or at all. So when it comes to Coach Dayball's coaching, you cannot look at it through a telescope. You have to look at it through a microscope. What I mean by that is you can't just look at the big picture and say, oh, the team's doing bad. The coach must be terrible. No. Look at the pieces. What's the quarterback play? Is the quarterback executing the plays given? Is the quarterback not executing the plays given? Are the rest of the players on the field executing the plays given? Are the receivers running their routes on time? Are they getting separation? Are they supposed to be getting separation? Is the defense? All of these things, all of these small details are important. And as a coach, as a coordinator, you can only cook food with the ingredients you're given. Now, when it comes to the Giants and where they are again, um, we are where we are supposed to be. I know a lot of Giants fans are going to hate this. It's going to hurt, but it's true. We had to let go of Saquon in order for us to let go of Daniel Jones. Unfortunately, the greatness of Saquon Barkley overshadowed the flaws of Daniel Jones. And I say that because from the day we drafted Daniel Jones, I never believed in him. I never believed that he was good enough to be our starting quarterback. We already had Saquon and we had Odell. Truthfully, at the time, we really were missing the right quarterback. I didn't believe at the time that we got the right quarterback. But because Saquon was so good, instead of questioning the quarterback play, excuse me, the running backs play was questioned. And oftentimes, when trying to explain to people the level of dependency that the running back position has, they would try to rebuttal with the level of dependency that the quarterback has. And while it's a partial truth, it's more a falsehood than a truth. Here's why. At the quarterback position, the quarterback is the captain of the ship. Quarterback is the one that touches the ball more than anybody else. and has the most control. So when people talk about, well, your quarterback needs help, he doesn't have the receivers, you then have to stop and look at the play on the field and say, okay, the receivers that he has, are they getting open? Are they creating separation? And the word separation isn't what many of you think it is. Many people think that separation is wide open. Wide open is wide open. Separation simply means that my receiver is in a position where he has a better ability to catch the ball and is able to not just separate, but get that. This is separation. This is wide open. This is separation. It's that coming to the line and break off. Oh, now the DB got to chase him. Really great quarterbacks don't need their receivers to separate. It's what you've heard before as throwing a receiver open, meaning that the receiver and the DB, they hip to hip. Quarterback throws the ball in a position where the receiver can elevate or back shoulder or maneuver to get to the ball because the receiver knows when the ball is coming. The cornerback does not. Even if you got bad receivers, a good quarterback could get a lot of pass interference calls. Your guy ain't open, throw it to him. He tries to get to the ball, can't get to the ball, but the DB doesn't turn around, automatic pass interference. These are things that great quarterbacks know. These are things that Daniel Jones never did. And even though he never did those things, because Saquon was the engine of our offense, of our team, he was the heart of our team, people often would cast the ire his way instead of at the quarterback. I don't know why. Literally, I play running back and linebacker. So I know what I'm talking about when I say certain things. As a running back, you are starting either 4 to 7 yards deep behind the line of scrimmage. So you're already at a disadvantage, position wise. Now, hopefully, you can get ahead of steam to go forward, but that depends on play call, your play style, and a whole bunch of other factors. Most of the time, while Saquon was with the Giants, he would have to break 3 or 4 tackles before he got to the line of scrimmage. That's not good at all. You know what helps a running game? Good quarterback play. I think it's very rare that you'll ever see an 8-man box against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's rare that you'll ever see an 8-man box versus the Buffalo Bills. Reason being is because an 8-man box, that means 8 of the players on the defensive side are inside what's called the tackle box in order to stop the run game. You won't see that happen to KC or Buffalo because they fear the quarterback. With an 8-man box, you only got 11 players on the field. So that leaves number 9, 10, and 11. 3 people left to defend everything else. The Giants faced a lot of 8-man boxes. Best way to beat an 8-man box, quick read throw. It was something that Daniel Jones wasn't good at. But because Saquon was our engine, the run game is what we depended on, and Daniel Jones is a good runner. Not a great runner, but he's a good runner. That's what we leaned on. And if you watch the year we went to the playoffs, if you sit down and watch film, like not YouTube clips or highlights, like if you pay for the NFL Plus on the app and it gives you access to all of the Coach 22 film, you can really be able to see that Brian Dayball orchestrated everything perfectly for Daniel Jones to have as much success as he possibly could. He would cut the field in half. A lot of those games were a lot of those pass plays were rollouts. So Daniel is running out to one side and the routes are all coming to this side. So he doesn't have to read the whole field. He just got to read half of it. And yet still he would miss stuff. But again, all of the other problems that we had overshadowed the main problem at the captain's chair in the quarterback. Once we let go of Saquon, now it all was on Daniel Jones because you didn't see any other excuse. You get to see now that the receivers are getting open. The line was holding was holding up. Jones was still missing throws, making bad reads, holding the ball too long. So Joe Shane made the sacrifice play of letting Saquon go in order for us to be able to get to this point now. Because we cannot forget that in a press conference, the owner, John Mara, talked about how bad he felt for not giving Daniel Jones the right chance. He said we messed this kid up, talking about the coaching changes and all the things that he did, that the team did. While that can be true, it's not the only truth. The fact is, Daniel Jones wasn't great in college. He, uh, who was it? Was it Todd McShay? I believe said that draft night or that draft day that he was perplexed and didn't see Daniel Jones as much more than a NFL backup. I believe that's what he said. I put the clip up. Um, but this is where we need to be. We need to lose out in order to draft Shador Sanders. While we have many holes to fill, the captain's chair needs to be filled first with a captain, with someone who has experience of success, of rebuild, of failure while having expected success, and someone that's able to talk to the media, that knows how to talk to the media. Shador has all of those things. He has the experience. He understands how to connect. What's funny is Shador was actually also a part of Cam Ward coming back for his senior season. Shador Sanders, and Cam Ward have the same QB specialist coach, so they tend to work a lot together during the offseason. What's really funny is you've seen Shador in Vegas. You've seen him tweet uh, in relation to Vegas, but you haven't seen much of him talking about New York or posting. But I mean, again, frankly, he didn't even in those tweets. It was just thank God, and it was alluded to the fact that it was for the Raiders, but I believe the Giants have been losing just as much. So in actuality, we really don't know what those thank God tweets were for. We did get to see Shador in New York this past weekend while he was up there in support of Travis Hunter for the Heisman Trophy. And after Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy, Shador Sanders tweeted out, "Wow, it's crazy. Uh, my receiver is a high. What did he say? He said my receiver is a Heisman Trophy winner. Or I'm sorry. It was he said something about the Blitnikoff winner. Um, and I retweeted and I was like, you can keep it true. Travis won the Blitnikoff. Malik Neighbors won the Blitnikoff. So the Giants need to lose out so we can draft Shador Sanders. The Giants need to lose out and maintain Joe Shane as the GM and maintain Brian Daboll as the head coach so that we can draft Shador Sanders first overall and kickstart this rebuild that has been slowly brewing. From the outside looking in, it's all been terrible. But when you are able to understand timing and best fit, this is simply a cooking process. Thanksgiving wasn't too long ago, right? You get over to the house you're going to, usually you got to wait a little bit. Unless you show up late, food ain't done right away. At least with us. But after you wait and you've been hungry and you can smell the food, you're like, your stomach hurting. When those dishes finally hit the table, fully prepared, after care has been taken, you can truly enjoy that meal. And lay back, unbuckle your belt, and go, that was worth it. When the Giants draft Shador Sanders, number one overall, these past 6-7 years will have been worth it. Because Shador Sanders will be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't have any doubts about that. Deion Sanders has 2, if not 3, Hall of Famers leaving his college program. Shador is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and Travis is going to be in the Hall of Fame as an athlete. Travis Hunter is going to play both ways in the NFL, and he is going to be successful at it. But that's a video for another day. Thanks for stopping by and watching. The link to all my other channels down in the bio. Hit that red button. Where is that? The red button. If you ain't hit it yet, it's red. If you did hit the subscribe button, it shouldn't be red no more. If it's red, you ain't hit it yet. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Share this. Share this with your friends who you debate football talk with. Share this with people who you think have the same opinion or an opposing opinion. Go ahead, jump in the comments, and let's start this discussion. I got time, so we can get to it. If you appreciate any of the time that you spent here and you would like to support, excuse me, if you appreciate the time and information that you got and spent here, and if you would like to support, uh, you can do so. Its information is down in the bio. My Cash App is right here. It really means a lot, especially right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thanks for spending the time. Hope to see you soon. Peace and love to Lola One. Remember, be water, my friend. Dragon out. I love you.